Introduction: the unseen force behind every success. Hello and welcome. Take a moment and think about someone you deeply admire. Someone who has achieved something truly remarkable in their life. A successful entrepreneur who built a company from a simple idea. An athlete who has mastered their craft. Or perhaps an artist whose work has touched millions of people. What do they all have in common? We often see the headline, the final product, the moment of victory. We see the overnight success story. We see the book on the bestseller list, but not the years of lonely writing sessions. We see the Olympic gold medal, but not the thousands of hours of training in the quiet of the morning. We see the billion-dollar company, but not the countless small, strategic decisions made day after day, year after year. We see the tip of the iceberg, but we don't see the massive, unseen force that lies beneath the surface. And that force is consistency. We live in a world that is obsessed with instant gratification. We want the result now. We want the transformation to happen tomorrow. We are taught to chase the big, dramatic breakthroughs. But what if the secret to all lasting change, all true success, lies not in the grand gesture, but in the small, seemingly insignificant action, repeated over and over and over again? This is a journey into the power of that quiet, steady force. We're going to explore why consistency is not just a habit, but the very foundation of character, the secret language of achievement, and the most reliable engine for personal and professional growth. Over the next few chapters, we'll strip away the myths of motivation and luck and reveal the simple, practical strategies you can use to build consistency into your life, one small step at a time. We'll learn how to build momentum from nothing, how to design a life that makes consistency effortless, and how to find the courage to keep going even when you don't feel like it. Because true power doesn't come from the one big action. It comes from the unwavering series of small actions. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Myth of the Overnight Success. We've all heard the stories. The app developer who became a millionaire in a single weekend. The singer who was discovered on social media and rocketed to stardom. The company that went from garage startup to global giant in a blink of an eye. These stories are intoxicating. They feed our desire for a fast and dramatic solution. They make us believe that success is a lottery ticket, and if we just wait for the right moment, our number will be called. But what do these stories leave out? Let's talk about the band, the Beatles. In the early 1960s, they became a global sensation. Seemingly overnight, with their appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show. The media called it Beatlemania, a sudden, explosive phenomenon that captivated the world. What most people don't know is what came before that moment. Before they landed in America, the Beatles spent years playing 6 to 8 hours a night in sticky, smoke-filled clubs in Hamburg, Germany. Day after day, they performed for tiny crowds, honing their craft, learning to play in front of an audience, and experimenting with their sound. They played over 1,200 shows in just a few years, 1,200 before their big break. Their so-called overnight success was not a result of one lucky break. It was the result of a monumental amount of consistent, deliberate practice. They built their skills and their chemistry, one performance at a time, until they were so good, so tight, and so ready that when the opportunity came, they were an unstoppable force. The world was just ready to see what they had already been perfecting in the shadows. This is the central lesson of consistency. Your big break is not something that happens to you. It's something you earn. It's the moment when preparation meets opportunity. And that preparation is built not with a single stroke of genius, but with 1,000 small, consistent efforts. Think of it this way. Your dreams are a big, heavy stone, and your consistent actions are a series of tiny hammers. A single hammer strike does nothing, but 1,000 strikes in the same spot over and over will eventually crack the stone wide open. So how do you start? You start by shifting your focus from the goal to the process. Instead of saying, I want to write a book, you say, I am a writer who writes for 15 minutes every day. Instead of saying, I want to be fit, you say, I am a person who goes for a walk around the block every morning. The key is to make the action so small, so easy, that it's impossible to say no. We often fail to start because the goal feels too big, too intimidating. We look at the mountain we need to climb and we get overwhelmed before we even tie our shoes. But what if you just focused on putting on one shoe? This is what I call the start so small method. Let's say you want to get into better shape. The goal of working out for an hour a day can feel daunting. So instead, commit to doing just one push-up a day. One. It sounds ridiculous, right? So easy you almost feel silly doing it. But here's the genius of it. When you do that one push-up, you've just taken the first step. You've gotten down on the floor. You've overcome the inertia of inaction. And once you're there, you'll often find yourself doing 2 or 3 or 5. The action itself is the catalyst. And even if you only ever do one push-up, you've still won. You've upheld your commitment to consistency. The same goes for anything else. Want to learn a new language? Commit to one new word a day. Want to start a business? Commit to 1 hour of research a week. Want to become a better public speaker? Commit to recording yourself speaking for 1 minute a day. It's not about the magnitude of the action. It's about the consistency of the action. The biggest lie we tell ourselves is that we don't have enough time. The truth is we always have time for what we deem important. And the way you make something important is by treating it with consistency. Key takeaway. The overnight success story is a myth. Lasting achievement is built on a foundation of consistent, small actions. Stop chasing the big breakthrough and instead focus on the tiny, daily habit. Start so small, you can't fail. Chapter 2. The compound effect of small actions. Imagine you have 2 friends, one named Alex and one named Ben. Alex decides he wants to improve his life, so he makes a few small, positive changes. He decides to read 10 pages of a book every night, and he also cuts out 1 sugary drink from his diet per day. These changes are almost unnoticeable. They don't require a huge amount of willpower, and they don't produce any immediate, dramatic results. Ben, on the other hand, makes no changes. He continues his normal routine, doing what's easy and comfortable. For the first few months, you see no difference between them. In fact, if you asked them how they felt, they would probably tell you the changes were insignificant. But here's where the magic of consistency begins. After 1 year, Alex has read 3,650 pages, the equivalent of about 12 full books. He's also saved himself from consuming around 1,460 sugary drinks, a significant reduction in his sugar intake that's having a silent but profound effect on his health. After 2 years, Alex's knowledge base has expanded exponentially. He's not only read dozens of books, but the information has compounded, connecting ideas and expanding his understanding of the world. His improved diet has led to more energy, a clearer mind, and a healthier body. After 5 years, the difference is staggering. Alex is now a well-read, knowledgeable, and energetic person. He's probably been promoted at work or started a new business because of the skills he's learned. His health is excellent. The person he has become is fundamentally different from the person he was 5 years ago. And the only thing that separated him from Ben was the compound effect of tiny, consistent actions. This is the power of the compound effect. It's the most powerful force in the universe, and it's the engine that drives all lasting change. Just like a financial investment that grows over time, your consistent actions create a return that multiplies exponentially. The problem is that the compound effect works so slowly at the beginning that we often give up before it has a chance to kick in. The results are invisible for so long that we convince ourselves the effort isn't worth it. So how do you harness this power? The first step is to recognize that your habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. And just as you can compound positive habits, you can also compound negative ones. A small, seemingly harmless habit, like watching 1 extra episode of television a night or scrolling through social media for just a few more minutes, can compound into wasted hours, lost opportunities, and a lack of energy. The key is to create a system that makes your desired habits a little bit easier and your undesired habits a little bit harder. This is where habit stacking comes in. Habit stacking is a simple but incredibly effective technique. Instead of trying to add a new habit from scratch, you link your new habit to an existing one that you already do without thinking. For example, if you already have the habit of making your morning coffee, you can stack a new habit on top of it. Your habit stack might look like this. After I make my coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. Or, After I finish my first cup of coffee, I will write down 3 things I'm grateful for. This works because you're using the momentum of an existing habit to power a new one. Your brain is already primed for the existing action, and the new action feels like a natural extension of it. The key is to be very specific about what you're doing and when you're doing it. Let's try another one. Maybe you want to start reading more. You already have the habit of getting into bed at night. You can stack your new habit like this. When I get into bed, I will read for 10 minutes before I turn out the light. The more specific you are, the more likely you are to succeed. And with each consistent action, you're not just reading a book or meditating for a minute. You're building the momentum that will eventually compound into a completely different life. The biggest danger is doing nothing, because doing nothing also compounds. It compounds into a feeling of stagnation, a sense of falling behind, and a growing distance between where you are and where you want to be. The power of consistency is not about a single dramatic act. It's about the steady, quiet, and compounding return on your daily investment in yourself. Key takeaway: small, consistent actions compound over time, leading to massive, life-changing results. Your habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Harness this power by stacking new habits onto old ones, making it easier to start and impossible to fail. Chapter 3. The Art of Showing Up, Even When You Don't Feel Like It. Let's be honest, it's easy to be consistent when you're feeling motivated, when you're excited about a new project, full of energy, and seeing quick results. Showing up is a breeze. But what happens when the initial fire has died down? What happens on the days you feel tired, uninspired, and would rather do anything else? This is where the real power of consistency is tested, and this is where most people fail. They mistake motivation for the engine of progress. They wait for a feeling to come, and when it doesn't, they stop. Motivation is a fantastic spark, but it's an unreliable source of fuel. Discipline, on the other hand, is the engine that keeps you moving, regardless of the weather. Consider the story of Jerry Seinfeld. Seinfeld is arguably one of the most successful comedians of all time. His secret to success wasn't just his talent, it was a simple, yet powerful system he used to write jokes. He called it "Don't Break the Chain." His system was incredibly simple. He bought a large wall calendar and hung it in his office. Every day that he wrote new material, he would put a big red X on that day. His goal was not to write a great joke. It was not to have a breakthrough. His only goal was to not break the chain of X's. He didn't care if he wrote a little or a lot. He didn't care if the material was good or bad. He just cared about one thing: showing up. Over time, he created a long, unbroken chain of X's, and that chain became a source of motivation in itself. He didn't want to be the one to break it. The sheer visual proof of his consistency became a powerful driver for his continued action. This is the central truth about consistency. It's not about being perfect. It's about being relentless. It's about creating a system that makes it easy to show up, even on your worst days. So, how do you do this for yourself? The first rule is to separate the act of showing up from the expectation of performing well. You don't have to have a great workout. You just have to go to the gym. You don't have to write a best-selling chapter. You just have to open your laptop and write for 15 minutes. The second rule is what I call the 2-day rule. The 2-day rule is simple. Never miss a habit 2 days in a row. We're human. Life gets in the way. We get sick. We have emergencies. We get distracted. The 2-day rule gives you permission to be imperfect. It allows you to take a day off, knowing that you're going to get back on track tomorrow. Because the real danger isn't missing a single day. The real danger is the what the hell effect. When you miss one day, your brain starts to rationalize, well, I missed it yesterday, so it's not a big deal if I miss it today. I'll just start again on Monday. And that one miss turns into 2, and 2 turns into a week. And before you know it, the habit is gone. The 2-day rule is your safety net. It protects you from the emotional domino effect of a single slip-up. It's a psychological trick that keeps you from falling off the wagon completely. Remember, the goal is not perfection. The goal is to build the identity of someone who is consistent. And someone who is consistent is not someone who never fails. It's someone who, when they do fail, gets back up and tries again. Think of it like a train. A train is an incredibly powerful vehicle. It can pull thousands of tons of weight, but it has to have a track to run on. And its power is not in its speed, but in its ability to stay on the track. Your daily habits are your track. As long as you stay on the track, you will inevitably reach your destination. It might be a slow, steady journey, but it will get you there. So, on the days when you feel like quitting, remember Jerry Seinfeld's wall of X's. Remember the 2-day rule. And just remember this one thing. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. And the way you build that bridge is one single step at a time, no matter how you feel. Key takeaway: motivation is fleeting, discipline is forever. Your true power lies not in being perfect, but in showing up relentlessly, especially on the days you don't want to. Never miss a habit 2 days in a row. Chapter 4. The Power of Systems Over Goals. Let's imagine for a moment that you are a student and your goal is to get a perfect score on your next exam. You study hard, you pull all-nighters, and you cram as much information as you can into your brain. On the day of the exam, you get your perfect score. You celebrate. You feel a sense of massive accomplishment. Now what? The goal is achieved. The finish line has been crossed. But what happens to the knowledge you just crammed into your head? It likely disappears just as quickly as it went in. You've won the race, but you haven't built the skill. Now imagine a different scenario. Your goal isn't to get a perfect score. Your goal is to build a system for learning. Your system is this. Every day, I will review my class notes for 30 minutes, and every week, I will spend 2 hours practicing a study technique I've just learned. You're not focused on the outcome. You're focused on the process. With this approach, you're not just cramming for one exam. You're building a habit of consistent learning. You're developing the skill of retaining information and understanding concepts on a deeper level. You're building an identity as a lifelong learner. And here's the beautiful, counterintuitive part. Because you're focused on the process, the perfect scores on the exams will happen naturally as a byproduct of your consistent system. This is the crucial distinction between a goal and a system. A goal is a destination. A system is the vehicle you take to get there. Most people are focused on the destination. They set a goal, but they don't have a system to get there. They want to be a great writer, but they don't have a system for writing every day. They want to be a great leader, but they don't have a system for consistently developing their skills. This is why New Year's resolutions so often fail. The resolution is the goal. I will lose 20 pounds, but there's no system to back it up. There's no plan for I will pack a healthy lunch every day, or I will go for a walk for 30 minutes after dinner. So how do you build a consistent system? The most powerful way to build a system is to design your environment to make consistency easier. Think about a company that has an amazing culture. Is it because the CEO gives a motivational speech every day? Or is it because the company has a system in place that promotes collaboration, rewards hard work, and makes it easy for employees to succeed? It's the system, the environment. You need to become the architect of your own environment. Let's say your goal is to eat healthier. Your system should be to make it as easy as possible to make a good choice, and as difficult as possible to make a bad one. This could mean throwing out all the unhealthy snacks in your pantry, pre-chopping vegetables, and putting them in a clear container in your fridge so they're easy to grab, keeping a water bottle on your desk at all times to remind you to drink water. Or, let's say your goal is to practice a musical instrument more. Your system should be to make it as easy as possible to pick up and play. This could mean leaving your guitar out on a stand in the middle of your living room instead of keeping it in a case in the closet, putting your sheet music right next to the piano, setting a daily alarm on your phone that says, it's time to practice. Your environment is either working for you or against you, and you have the power to change it. Your environment is a silent partner in your consistent efforts. It either makes it easy to do the right thing or easy to do the wrong thing. By focusing on building a system rather than just chasing a goal, you're building a consistent, repeatable process that will naturally lead to the results you want. You're not just trying to win the race, you're becoming the kind of person who is a consistent runner. Key takeaway: goals are for results. Systems are for success. Stop focusing on the outcome and start building a consistent process. Design your environment to make the right thing easy to do and the wrong thing hard to do. Chapter 5. Navigating Setbacks and Slumps. No matter how well you plan, no matter how disciplined you are, there will be days when things go wrong. You'll miss a workout. You'll eat an entire pizza. You'll procrastinate on a project you were supposed to start. The perfect chain of consistency will be broken. And in that moment, what do? For most people, a single setback becomes a slump. A single bad day turns into a week of bad days, which turns into a month. And before you know it, the habit you worked so hard to build is completely gone. Why does this happen? Because we often see a setback as a sign of failure and we let our emotions take over. We say to ourselves, I knew I couldn't do it, or what's the point? I'm just going to fail again. But what if a setback wasn't a sign of failure? What if it was just a data point? What if it was just a natural and expected part of the process? Consider the example of a successful basketball team. They don't win every game. In fact, even the best teams lose games. But when they lose, they don't throw up their hands and say, that's it, we're giving up. They go back to the locker room, they watch the game film, they analyze what went wrong, and they figure out how to do better next time. They use the loss as a learning experience. This is the mindset of a person who understands consistency. They don't see a setback as a failure. They see it as a chance to learn and adapt. So how do you handle a setback without letting it derail your entire journey? The first step is to forgive yourself. The moment you fail, don't beat yourself up. Don't let shame and guilt take hold. Acknowledge what happened and then let it go. Remind yourself that one mistake does not define your identity. It's just a single moment in time. The second step is to perform a post-mortem of failure. When you have a setback, don't ignore it. Instead, take a few minutes to ask yourself some important questions. What happened? Be specific. Why do I think it happened? Was I tired? Distracted? Overwhelmed? What can I learn from this? What will I do differently next time? By asking these questions, you're taking the emotion out of the setback and turning it into a logical, solvable problem. You're not dwelling on the failure. You're using it as a blueprint for future success. The third and most important step is to get back on track immediately. Don't wait for next Monday or the start of a new month. The moment you stumble, your only job is to get up and start walking again. The biggest difference between those who succeed and those who fail is not that one never falls. It's that one gets up faster. Think of it like a train on a track again. If a train derails, a single moment of derailment won't destroy the train. But if you don't get it back on the tracks, it will never reach its destination. Your consistent habits are the track, and a setback is just a minor derailment. Your job is to simply get the train back on the track. Don't let one stumble turn into a permanent diversion. Consistency is not a straight line. It's a series of starts, stops, and restarts. And the person who wins is the one who understands that and embraces it. Key takeaway: a setback is not a failure. It's a data point. Learn from it, forgive yourself, and get back on track immediately. The key to consistency is not avoiding failure, but mastering the art of the quick recovery. Chapter 6: Consistency in Relationships and Well-Being. When we think of consistency, we often think of career, health, or personal goals. But the power of consistency extends far beyond the realm of personal achievement. It is the very glue that holds our relationships, our mental health, and our overall well-being together. Consider a long-lasting, healthy friendship. What makes it so? It's not the grand gestures. It's not the surprise gifts or the extravagant trips. It's the small, consistent acts of kindness, the random text message to say you're thinking of them, the phone call just to check in, the promise to be there, and the consistent follow-through on that promise. These small, consistent acts build trust and intimacy over time. They send a clear message: I'm here for you. You can count on me. The same principle applies to your relationship with yourself. What do you consistently do for your own mental and physical health? Do you consistently get enough sleep? Do you consistently eat nourishing foods? Do you consistently make time for activities that bring you joy and calm? Or do you constantly find yourself in a cycle of extremes? A week of healthy eating followed by a weekend of junk food. A period of intense stress followed by a frantic attempt to find peace. This inconsistency in self-care is a major source of burnout and dissatisfaction. It's a sign that you're treating your well-being as a goal to be achieved, not a system to be maintained. The key to consistent self-care is to make it non-negotiable. It's about building small, daily rituals that you do no matter what. This could look like taking 5 minutes every morning to sit in silence and drink a cup of coffee without checking your phone. Going for a short walk after every meal to aid digestion and clear your head. Journaling for 2 minutes before bed to process the day. These actions don't have to be big or dramatic. They just have to be consistent. And over time, they will compound into a life of greater peace, greater joy, and greater resilience. The same goes for communication in relationships. What kills a relationship is not a single fight. It's the slow, steady erosion of communication. It's the unsaid words, the small resentments that build up over time. It's the inconsistency of showing up for each other, both emotionally and physically. The solution is not to have one big emotional conversation. The solution is to consistently check in with each other, to consistently express your appreciation, to consistently listen. This is the daily check-in principle. It's a small, consistent practice that can have a massive impact on your relationships. It could be as simple as, "Hey, how was your day?" and then truly listening to the answer. It could be sending a text that says, "Thinking of you." It could be a hug at the end of the day. These small, consistent acts of communication are like deposits in an emotional bank account. They build a reserve of trust and love that you can draw on during times of conflict. Consistency is not just about building a career. It's about building a life. And a life worth living is built on a foundation of consistent effort in all areas, from your professional pursuits to your personal relationships and your self-care. It's the invisible force that brings all the different parts of you together into a beautiful, cohesive whole. Key takeaway: the power of consistency is not limited to your career. It is the foundation of every healthy relationship and the key to true well-being. Consistently show up for yourself and for the people you love. Chapter 7. Your consistent self, the foundation of identity. So far, we've talked about what consistency can do for your goals, your habits, and your relationships. But what if the greatest power of consistency lies not in what it gets you, but in what it makes you? Your habits, your consistent actions, are the building blocks of your identity. You are not what you say you are. You are what you consistently do. Think about the difference between a person who wants to be a writer and a person who is a writer. The person who wants to be a writer talks about it. They fantasize about it. They buy the fancy notebooks and the nice pens, but they don't write. The person who is a writer, they write every single day. It's not a desire. It's a part of who they are. This is the most profound and powerful insight about consistency. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. When you do a push-up, you're not just exercising, you're casting a vote for the identity of an active person. When you read a page of a book, you're casting a vote for the identity of a lifelong learner. When you apologize to a loved one, you're casting a vote for the identity of a compassionate person. And just as a single vote doesn't make you a politician, a single vote doesn't make you a writer, but 1,000 votes, cast over and over again in the form of small, consistent actions, will eventually change the election. You will win. You will become the person you desire to be. This is what I call the identity-based habit method. Instead of focusing on the outcome, you focus on the identity. You're not trying to get something. You're trying to become someone. Let's try a mental exercise. Instead of saying, "My goal is to run a marathon," you say, "My goal is to be a runner." What does a runner do? A runner runs. So you start running, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Instead of saying, "My goal is to lose 20 pounds," you say, "My goal is to be a healthy person." What does a healthy person do? A healthy person eats nutritious food, gets enough sleep, and moves their body. So you start doing those things. This shift in focus from what you want to achieve to who you want to become is incredibly powerful. It changes the entire game. When you focus on the identity, the habits become a natural extension of who you are. The habits are no longer a chore. They are an expression of your deepest desires. And what happens when you have a setback? When you're focused on a goal, a setback can feel like a final defeat. You didn't get the result, so you failed. But when you're focused on your identity, a setback is just a momentary lapse. You're still a runner, even if you missed a run. You just need to get back on the track and continue being the person you are. This is the ultimate power of consistency. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. It's not about the goal. It's about the identity. It's not about what you get. It's about who you become. Because the person you become through a consistent process is the most valuable and lasting achievement of all. Key takeaway: your habits are a vote for your identity. Stop chasing outcomes and start focusing on becoming the person you want to be. Your consistent actions are not just a path to success, they are the very definition of it. Conclusion: the simple, single choice. We've explored a lot of ground together. We've debunked the myth of the overnight success and learned that the biggest results come from the smallest, most consistent actions. We've uncovered the compound effect and learned how to build systems instead of just chasing goals. We've discovered how to navigate setbacks and how to show up on the days we don't feel like it. And at the heart of it all is a simple, single choice. The choice to be consistent, not in the dramatic all-or-nothing way, but in the quiet, steady, one-step-at-a-time way. The choice to read one page. The choice to make one phone call. The choice to do one push-up. Every single day, you are presented with this choice. The choice to take a small step forward or to stand still. The choice to cast a vote for the person you want to become or to cast a vote for the person you have always been. The most successful people in the world are not the most talented. They are not the luckiest. They are the most consistent. They understand that progress is not a sprint. It's a marathon, and you win a marathon by running, not by trying to take a single, massive leap. So here is your final challenge. Don't try to change your entire life overnight. That's a fool's game. Instead, I want you to pick one single tiny action, something so small, so easy, that it feels almost silly. Just one thing. Read one page of a book. Write one sentence. Send one appreciative text message. Go for a 1-minute walk. And then, I want you to make a promise to yourself. A promise not to miss that one single action for the next 7 days. Don't think about the month from now. Don't think about the year from now. Just think about today and tomorrow and the day after that. Because the moment you make the decision to be consistent, the moment you take that first tiny step, you will have tapped into the most powerful force for change in the universe, and your life will never be the same again. Thank you for listening. Now go take that first step.